Hello everyone, Berserkhead here, and welcome to my series called Should You Buy It, in which I'm on my one-man crusade against bad DLC. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing the Beast of War, which is the newest piece of DLC for Rome 2. Okay, so this DLC is a prime example of why I made this series in the first place. First of all, as you may have noticed, this is not scripted. I'm just talking. I just decided that it's so pointless to create a script because there is so little to say about this DLC. Like, usually I sit down, write my script, and do everything on script. I just read it and record my voice. But in this episode of the series, I'm not gonna be doing that. There is nothing to be said about this DLC. It adds so little to the game that this is gonna be a semi-rant video. That's it. Okay, so what the DLC adds to the game: it adds 7 units: Molossian Dogs, Beehive Onager, Scorpion Pod Ballista, Snake Pod Ballista, Camel Cataphract, Celtic Warhounds, and Mercenary Syrian Armored Elephants. That's it. 7 units for $250. Okay, so what do these units do, you might ask? Okay, so first of all, maybe the 2 best units that are added in this DLC are the Warhound units. First of all, you have the Celtic Warhounds that are a decent Warhound unit. They're available for most Celtic tribes, and they're slightly better than the Savage Dogs that the Arverni have access to. And then for Emperors, you have the Molossian Dogs. They have different icons, but they look absolutely the same in the game. I think that the Celtic Hounds are a little bit better, but I'm not sure about that. But these are 2 Warhound units. They were kind of lacking. Good that they added them. Anyways, let's move to the artillery units. So you have the Greek Beehive Onager, you have the Snake Pod Ballista, and you have the Scorpion Pod Ballista. What do they do? Well, they're basically kind of like poison missiles. You can kind of use them against enemy infantry. You can reduce their melee and defense at the same time, and you can reduce their morale a little bit. But you would expect these things to look a little bit nicer, like you want to see like snakes crawling all over the place. No, this is what it actually looks like. When the pod just breaks on the ground, there are like a few snakes flying in midair, and then they just disappear. That's all that happens. The same happens for scorpions, the same happens for bees. They look horrible, and they have very, very, very little use in the game. I don't know what these units are there. You know, we were lacking some kind of good poison missile units, but still, they have very, very little use. They're very expensive. They don't do much, and I don't know why you would pick them. I think they're completely redundant, and you can just exclude them from this DLC. And then we move on to the Camel Cataphract. Oh, okay, so this is another thing that was lacking in the game. We didn't have any camel units. Now they added them, but the thing is that it's only 1 unit and it's only available for Parthia. That's it. They're a slightly nerfed version of the Royal Cataphracts. They have better stamina, but that's the only thing that they're better at. They're just a little bit cheaper, and that's about it. So in pretty much all cases, you're just better off picking Royal Cataphracts or Eastern Cataphracts if you're going for a more numerous but cheaper army. I wasn't a huge fan of Camel Cataphracts in Rome 1. I never used them because the only advantage that they have over Cataphracts is that they have more stamina. They're a little bit cheaper, but their stats are generally worse. So the Camel Cataphracts are just not going to be useful in any way, and I just prefer to use my units for a shorter time, but I just want them to be as effective as possible. So I don't think that they're a very effective unit. Maybe some people will like them, but it's just 1 camel unit usable by only 1 faction. And then finally you have the Mercenary Syrian Armored Elephants, and this is just a mercenary unit. You cannot use it in multiplayer. They are not available for any faction. You can only use them in campaign, and you can hire them as mercenaries in only certain settlements. I find this very stupid because why would you add a unit to the game if you can only use it in campaign? It doesn't make sense. People are paying for that. It's once again not useful at all. You can only recruit it from 4 settlements, and they're just a mercenary unit, so you generally don't want to keep them in your army. So once again, they're not useful at all. Alright, there you go. That's all that the DLC includes, all for $250. You can see the different regional prices on the screen right now. It's just horrible. I mean, should I even answer the question, should you buy this DLC? Absolutely no. Why would you buy it? These units are totally useless. The idea behind the DLC is not bad, but the execution is so poor. They add basically useless units. You're better off not using them. They're not useful in any way. I know this is just $250. and it's not a big amount of money, but for just 7 units you might as well mod that and get even a bigger amount of units. In fact, I'm currently working on a review of a mod called Zamu's Unit Compilation. Guess how many units it adds to the game? 74. That's right, it adds 10 times more units, and they're actually useful. It's not like these units, they're extremely situational. They're not useful in many situations. Even if they're useful somehow, they're not very good at what they do. I haven't tested the elephants, I'm gonna be honest, but I just find them very, very redundant. It's 250, it's not the end of the world. You know, it was kind of the same thing with the Blood and Gore DLC, where it's just a gimmick. It's something that you don't really need. But the thing is that the Blood and Gore DLC actually changes the game. It changes the game aesthetic. It does much more than this DLC. And here, I was actually looking for 5 minutes to actually find the units. I tried to look up the different factions and find these units. I couldn't. I just went on the store, found the DLC, and read where I can actually find the units. They're so redundant. They don't do much. They don't look nice, so just download a couple of mods and you're gonna have some much better units. First of all, when I heard that they're releasing a unit compilation, I was kinda scared because, you know, I didn't play Shogun 2 just because there were so many units added by DLC that the game was kinda pay to win. I still hold this view on the topic, and I'm not a huge fan of the unit packs because they make the game kinda pay to win. However, with this is not the case. It's the same thing whether if you have this DLC or not. I don't see any point of buying it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look for something positive. I just can't. I was like, maybe this will be good for like cinematic makers and something like that. No, it looks horrible. It's so poorly executed. You cannot use it in cinematics either. And it's just, why would you need this DLC? Maybe if you're a competitive player, you play a lot of Rome 2, okay, maybe it's just 250, it's not the end of the world. But still, these units are so situational. I don't see them used in 99% of the battles. I don't know, maybe some people will try to use them, maybe some people will find use for them, but I just find them very redundant, and this is just a DLC made with the very purpose of milking the game. You know, just go back, watch my last video, which is called Why the Hell Did We Lose to Company of Heroes 2. I think that this is just kind of a marketing strategy. They make us pay for this DLC because we lost the battle against Company of Heroes 2. They made this very simplistic DLC, so, you know, if we actually won the battle, we would have gotten it for free, which would be fair. But we lost, so we gotta pay for it. And this is just, they're trying to milk us. And that's what I can say about this DLC. So far in my Should You Buy It series, I've answered yes to pretty much all the DLCs. I've really liked them, especially like the Blood and Gore DLC was cool. The Caesar and Goal, I didn't expect to like it, but I actually kind of liked it because it added a great lot to the game. But this DLC, I don't see the point of it. If you're like one of these people who are like, I gotta have all the DLC, no, you can just skip this one. No worries, it's very redundant, and once again, trying to say something positive, but I just can't. So yeah, that's gonna be it. See you next time. Goodbye.